The Magic the Gathering set, Ether Drift, brings us a story full of adventure, high-stakes competition, revisiting beloved planes, and intense personal journeys. But what really stands out in this set is its portrayal of found family. This idea of finding people who support and care for you, not because they have to, but because they choose to, is something that resonates deeply, whether it's in a fantasy setting or in our own real-world relationships. Hello, and welcome back to the Grief and Gathering podcast, a podcast where we use Magic the Gathering to break apart complex mental health topics into more digestible pieces. I'm Lady Foxglove, and today we're taking a bit of a different direction with an exciting topic that combines the world of Magic the Gathering and the newest plane, the newest set introduced to us in Ether Drift, with one of its most powerful and recurrent themes, this theme of found family. So if you're someone excited for this set, or just curious about how Ether Drift touches on themes of love and loss, belonging and chosen kinship, stick around. I'm excited to dive into why found family matters so much, especially through the lens of this latest set. Before we dig into how Ether Drift portrays found family, let's first talk about what that actually means. Because found family is a term that's often used to describe the group of people that you come to regard as family, not because of a blood relation, but because of deep and emotional bonds. These are the people you choose to let into your life and heart. And often they can become just as significant, if not more significant, than our biological family. As our favorite bald, famous, muscular, criminal racing star from a popular racing franchise would say, I don't have friends. I have family. And the importance of found family is, I think, huge in this series and in the stories that it tells, especially ones that deal with loss, adversity, or transformation. Because in a world where grief and hardship can isolate us, found family reminds us that we can rebuild our support systems and find people who genuinely care for us and lift us up. This is especially poignant right now, and I try and make these episodes feel poignant because so many people in our world right now, especially folks who live in the US, are being forced to find their own families. Every single day, folks are being made to choose who stays in their life and who doesn't get to be in their lives anymore. And when you have to make those decisions, when you have to go no contact with a parent or a sibling or an uncle or an aunt, having the existence of a family that you've chosen is that much more important. And I think in Ether Drift, that's something that the set has captured really well and very accurately, in that if you don't have a family, you can always find one. Because I know I have found a family here. And so did all of the characters that we're going to be talking about today and that have appeared in this newest set of Magic. And I think it's worth noting, too, that just like any other found family isn't perfect. All families have their flaws. All families have their weaknesses, their areas of growth, their places where they could be different, things that you wish were different, and found family is no exception. But just like any other family, found family finds a way to get through it. Because the people in your family, found or not, are the people who should be carrying you through your hardest moments too. But let's talk about Ether Drift. So for those of you who are familiar with the set, you know that it's rich with lore and some fascinating characters. We've got to see some planes be rebranded into names that are more respectful. And we've gotten to revisit, some places where we've been wondering what's been going on. We've got to see some of the new gods in Amonkhet and all kinds of fun things. But one of the central themes of the set is how groups of planeswalkers or adventurers or characters form connections. Some of those connections are born out of necessity. Others are born out of a shared sense of purpose and understanding. And we see these connections come out in the forms of the different racing teams, where the members of each team are different, but their goals still align. In the set, we see characters like Chandra, Lute, Nissa, Kellen, Samut, and even Winter, who, though they might come from different planes or have different backgrounds, find themselves joining up with some pretty diverse groups to face what feel like impossible odds. They each bring their own unique strengths and experiences and vulnerabilities to their respective teams, and they're working towards meeting a greater need. And what's really powerful is how their relationships evolve from mere alliances. We can see them starting to become something much deeper, a true found family. And again, this doesn't mean, that it's all mushy and gushy and etc. Sometimes found family looks like a group of people who share the same goal as you, who have your back. I think when we're looking at things like some of these teams born out of necessity, I think about Winter. The whole reason he's with the Speed Demons, the whole reason the Speed Demons exist is for his freedom. Because he wants to be free of Valgavoth. And so this is out of necessity for him that he's doing this. And then contrasted with kind of a mutual understanding, looking at the Speed Brood, where, this whole team of these insectoids, they exist to become just these exemplary, renowned members of the brood. These members who eventually metamorphosize into the very vehicles that they operate. And so the brood works together to try and prove their readiness to undergo this transformation. And that's because, it's not just about the race and the prize at the end of the line. Yes, everyone wants the Ether Spark. We've talked about that. And yes, everyone has different uses for it. But what's really bonding these characters is the emotional support that they're providing for each other. Through their trials, they find solidarity, care, and ultimately a sense of belonging. And this is a beautiful, I think, reflection of what found family can look like in our own lives, where we come together through shared struggle and emerge stronger, more connected, more united. It's not too dissimilar from a couple of weeks ago when we talked about post-traumatic grief or post-traumatic growth. And I think it's a similar concept where, it may be formed through unlikely or even difficult circumstances, but the relationships we make in hard times can be what save us. But why does Ether Drift's depiction of found family matter so much? Well, let's think about it for a moment. In Magic the Gathering, the multiverse is vast. Players are thrown into conflict with powerful forces, many of which are beyond their control. But one thing that can never be underestimated is this power of connection. We've seen characters go multiplanar to save someone or to take care of someone that matters to them. In Ether Drift, these found family relationships become the anchor that helps our characters face the impossible. And there's something special about seeing Pia Nalar, Captain Avishkar's Ether Rangers, after experiencing so much turmoil and hardship on Avishkar, or seeing Chandra step away from that same team and finding a home instead with the Cloudspire racing team, because she thinks that's what is going to further her goals in helping Nissa, who is her found family. Watching Wedter and the trapped denizens of Duskmourn do anything to try and get free, or seeing Ragavan and his sidekick, Karizev, because Karizev is the sidekick, crewing a new vessel. It's themes that pack both excitement but also feelings that we can relate to. And when it comes to grief and loss, many of us know the feeling of being cast adrift, feeling like we're just kind of floating around in a sea of uncertainty. And much like how we've seen in this set, the people we surround ourselves with, especially the ones who have chosen to stand by us, they give us a sense of stability, and they help us chart our course through the storms of our life. Found family in Ether Drift is vital for healing. When one character faces personal loss, it's not just the heroic feats or the battles or the triumphs that help them through. It's the support they receive from being held up from members of their team. And it's this act of standing by each other and supporting each other that we start to see them heal and start to see them rebuild. We've talked about how Ether Drift portrays found family, but why does this resonate so strongly with us in real life, do you think? Found family offers something really incredible, and it's the ability to choose your support system. Because we don't get to choose who you're related to. We don't get to choose the family we're born into, but we get to choose to recognize who we connect with, find the people who truly see us, and notice the people who choose to be there for us. It's no secret that I have found my own family, and it's taken me a long time to do it. And that's one of the many reasons that sets like Ether Drift, even though I'm not a big racing person or a big car, mech, whatever you want to call it person, it's a big reason why this set hits so close to home for me. I've been very forthcoming about my home life growing up and the abuse and the mistreatment that was experienced, by the people who were supposed to love me and who were supposed to take care of me. And then I found people who loved me. I found my, mom and dad who, unfortunately, they've both since died, but even still, I found the people who heard me. And then I came into this community and I found my family again. And I have so many people who have chosen to be in my life. One friend, I don't even know if they listen. I won't call them out because I didn't get their permission, but we were talking and she sent me a message and she said, "Ivy, you need to accept that we chose you. You don't have to understand it, but you need to accept it, and we're not going anywhere." And that is the epitome of found family for me. It's this willingness to recognize that someone is flawed, that someone is imperfect, and to love them anyway. In times of grief, this is especially important. We might not always have the family we want or need or deserve around us. But by reaching out, by finding family, we're allowed to create a network of people who offer us love and the understanding and empathy that we deserve. And so when we see a set like Ether Drift, we see these characters come together in a way that mirrors the healing power of those bonds that we've chosen. Because when you're in your grief, when you're in your loss, those connections become lifelines. And the way that this set has chosen to show these bonds transforming from professional alliances to these significant relationships serves as a reminder that it's okay to look outside of a traditional family structure to find the support that you need. Because we all deserve to feel loved and cared for and cherished. We all deserve to feel supported and valued. I think about when my son was born. My partner had a lot of medical complications. We were in the hospital for a very long time. And I remember how deafening the silence was when no one in my family reached out to ask if they could bring us food, if they could swing by our house and make sure our pets were okay, if they could bring us new clothes. But, who did show up was our community. This community of Magic the Gathering strangers, most of whom I had never even met before, organized a fundraiser. And you know what happened? My wife and I were able to eat. And worrying about where our next meal was going to come from was able to fall off of our radar so we could focus on getting my partner healthy and getting our baby healthy and getting ready to go back home. And that is what makes sets that feature found family so heavily. It's what makes them ring so close to home. It's what makes them matter, even if the cars and the race theme doesn't do it for you. There is something in this set for you regardless. Before we close up for the week, I want to take a moment and introduce the wet fart moment of the week. This one coming from our lovely friend J-Ro, otherwise known on socials as Unsummoned Skull. J-Ro was kind enough to provide this short story from a humorous time in his tournament career. And he wrote about how the night before a tournament, he learned of a near unwinnable matchup to the deck he'd been running, but he figured, it was really unlikely that he'd encounter it, so he didn't make any changes. Well, fast forward to tournament day, and surprise, it was his first matchup. But then surprise number 2, he won. Yay! But then surprise number 3, he lost abruptly after that first match and ended up having to drop. Which is sad, but I laugh and I enjoy stories like this because it shows us that it's not always the things that we expect that will catch us off guard. And I can imagine, the relief that he felt after winning that first match, only to proceed to, not do as well as he would have liked. And I'm sure it sucked at the time, but I'm glad he can laugh about it and share it now. So if you're not following him, make sure you check out Unsummoned Skull on Blue Sky, and also make sure to tune into his Twitch streams. Every Wednesday, I think, he's working on a work in progress stream where people can test decks that they're workshopping. It's a great time. It's great fun. So thanks again, J-Ro. I love you. But whether you're a Magic player or just someone interested in the deeper themes that connect us all, Ether Drift offers a profound exploration of found family. It reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles and that the family we create for ourselves can be a source of strength and incredible healing. As we close out today's episode, I want to encourage you to think about your own found family, those people who have chosen to walk beside you, especially during your hardest times. And if you're feeling like you don't have that support right now, I just encourage you to keep looking. It took me a long time to find my people. And if you don't have it yet, don't give up, because you'll find it. You deserve it. And just like an ether drift, there are people out there who will choose you, no matter who you are. And together you can heal and grow and face whatever life throws your way. I would like to once again thank Wizards of the Coast for making me an ambassador for this Ether Drift set and sending some goodies my way that make it easier for me to gush about all that this set has to offer. Thank you for joining me again today on Grief and Gathering. If you have found this episode meaningful, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. But until next time, remember, you're not alone. You are loved. Your family is out there. And in the words of Mr. Muscly Criminal Bald Racing Man, you don't turn your back on family, even when they do. I love you all so much, and I'll talk with you soon. Bye-bye.